Hello everybody, my name's Kanai Mainika, and welcome back to the unboxing, where today we got a big deal. If you remember, back at the back half of last year, I went pretty hard on LEGO sets for the first time in a long time, because of One Piece. And yeah, I don't know, it was fun, and it got me a little bit more focused on LEGO again. Of course, some of that goodwill is draining. I did manage to see one set that caught my interest because of my personal hyperfixations and shit, especially as of recently. But yeah, if you'll remember, we can put some cool images on screen. Back, like, I want to say 2 years ago in 2024, 2023, I don't remember exactly when, LEGO released their first Legend of Zelda set, The Great Deku Tree. And as much as I do love Zelda, and especially Breath of the Wild, since that was one of the games represented in that set, I could not justify the price. It was $300 and about $50 too expensive at that, thanks to a rebuilding gimmick that, while neat, doesn't really fully justify the extra expense, especially since you can't keep both built at the same time, though there are at least displays for all the minifigures at once. But I did still yearn for a Zelda LEGO set in my collection, because I love LEGO. I love building toys in general, if you can't tell. And I love Zelda. What I've played of it, I've found to be very fun and endearing. But recently, they finally did a little bit of something, made a little bit more of an affordable, relatively so, LEGO Zelda set, for the sake of the franchise's big anniversary year. That's right, I bumped into the camera again. Today, on the overview, not the unboxing, because there's gonna be unboxing, but we are taking a look at the LEGO Legend of Zelda, The Final Battle, Ocarina of Time. And, I don't know. There's just a lot of things in this set that theoretically appeal to me. I love me a good diorama. I love me a buildable figure. I like The Legend of Zelda a lot. I love it even. I just had to break the triple rule or whatever because I'm a fucking asshole. But yeah, here it is. The Final Battle, the big LEGO Legend of Zelda set for 2026, and the one that's probably going to be more common for people to own because it's a lot more accessible. Now, to be fair, something I want to say up front, something that we're going to be trying to figure out, is this set worth it at all? Because, despite this being cheaper, it is still arguably overpriced. Not even arguably, it's overpriced. In terms of basic LEGO metrics. This set comes with, as you can see, 1,003 pieces, and for that amount of parts, you would ideally hope for around $100. Maybe cheaper, especially since a lot of modern LEGO sets have a lot of small parts, especially these sort of display diorama-y ones, but that might be balanced out by the complexity of the new molds and even the old molds. Like, that is a complicated part. That is a complicated part. The Ganondorf hair, which we'll get to, is a complicated part. These swords are big parts. So maybe I can see $100. This set retails for $130. I imagine in part because of the license. It's whatever. And I mean, at least these minifigures work as minifigures, unlike those recently revealed Mario minifigures. Whoa. The goal here is to be a little bit more critical than I tend to be, hopefully, because I tend to be pretty positive about a lot of stuff, just because I don't like being negative about my hobbies. But hopefully, I'll try to be a little bit more critical, because this is already a set that's theoretically at a down point. It's a set that is going to have to fight an uphill battle, in my opinion, even though it is for one of my hyperfixations, and it is really neat looking. Hopefully it is able to stand the test of time. But anyways, looking at the box, it's already losing a little bit of points for me because it is in the standard 18 plus style LEGO box. That being a CGI render of the set, however it's meant to look, with a gradient behind it on a black background. This shit fucking pisses me off. It's so boring and bland when you could make this look like it has a background from that final battle in the game. I'm not even asking for product photography. I would love product photography, especially since this is an adult-targeted product. An adult's gonna be able to parse that if you say that it's a prototype on the box, that it's a fucking prototype on the box. Plus, photography just looks pretty. But if you even want to use a false rendering that's very nice and simplified, I swear, I've noted this before, but look at the Master Grade Verka boxes from Gunpla. Those things are simple and minimalist but are so much prettier because they primarily use a Kotoki illustration and have actually good graphic design. You can do minimalism well, and they just aren't here. Anyways, they do at least get a couple points by having this really nice logo using a lot of the standard sort of style guidey Zelda elements to say the name of the set, the final battle, Ocarina of Time. There we have the Hyrule, like, crest or whatever it's called. I forget the name, I'm bad at words. We, of course, have the set itself, as previously mentioned, which does look quite good. We've got the Lego logo down here, the Zelda logo right there, the sort of generic one, and we have a red band of bricks to show the general stats. It's for 18 plus, as mentioned. It's set number 77093. It has 1,003 pieces, and it's a building set, as if it could be anything else. Anyways, on this side, hopefully I can get it all into frame. Also, something you'll notice. To help give the illusion of price, I guess, they put it in a really wide box to make it be like, oh yeah, I'm buying a big set. And then you move it to the side, and it's kind of ghostly thin in comparison. This is just like a couple of centimeters too thin for something I would expect of a box of this size. So it just feels a little tricky marketing-wise. But yes, on this side we get legal information, where things are built, as well as alternate language versions of the set's name, depending, so that they can just produce one box for a bunch of different regions. Don't choke on this because you're not a baby. This video is for adult audiences, by the way, if the set age rating isn't fucking obvious. This is for adult collectors to help make them make informed purchasing decisions, not for babies. So get the fuck out of here if you're 13 or under 13, or whatever the age block is. On the other side, we get a nice looking shot of the Ganon that comes in this set. Some more of those red bricks, Lego, and The Legend of Zelda. The bottom is pretty minimal, just having the brick stylings and then basic information to go to the websites and recycling shit and barcodes. The top is actually pretty cool. We have the Lego logo right here. We'll be going across because it is a wide box. We have our 4 different minifigures that come in the set, or 3 minifigures and a character. It's kind of insulting to consider Navi a minifigure, but she is a character. So you have Navi, the Princess Zelda, Link, and Ganondorf, 2 of which are completely new, 2 of which are reused from that $300 set, so likely you won't have them unless you're a completionist. Then we have the Ocarina of Time logo from the game from all the way back on the N64, and to help you get a sense of scale, we have a 1-to-1 scale version of one of Ganon's swords, which looks quite nice. Moving on now, we get to the back of the box, where we get to see some of the play functions. Obviously, it's on that generic black background that I hate. Lego, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, now on the back of the box, because it is from Ocarina of Time specifically. We have the dimensions of the set. It is 11 inches long and 6.5 inches tall, which makes it reasonable, I guess, to own in a house. I don't know. It's going to be a lot more easy to display and live with, so that's nice. We get a main image of the diorama itself, specifically showing, like it does at the end of the game, Ganondorf rising from the rubble after his big final battle with Link, and Princess Zelda has been freed, but she's also there in the background. You know how it goes if you've seen Ocarina of Time. I haven't played Ocarina of Time yet. Don't tell anybody that I haven't played Ocarina of Time yet. Definitely don't leave this in the edit. Anyways, it shows the way that the Ganondorf flip-up function works. It shows Link and the Ganon, showing that the Ganon can be split up from the base if this wasn't evident already. Then it shows the back of the little fallen bit of the castle tower, which has Navi sticking out of it, as well as the Megaton hammer, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's the box, which we spent a long time looking over because I also had a lot of rants. Really, there's more to a toy than a box. So that means I've got to get it unboxed, which means I got to get it built, which means you'll be seeing that here because I'm a little bit annoying. Okay. Let's get to that. And we're back with the celt all built up. I'm not gonna try to hide it from you because we've already seen it. And yeah, this is everything. Everything that comes in the set all placed together at once. And something that's nice, especially as a display sort of module set, is that everything can be displayed all at once. You basically have everything. But yeah, everything can be set up, and I'm gonna do a nice little spin real quick so you can get a good 360 look of everything. Let's lift that up so you can get a better angle of that. Flip it around. The somewhat more ugly, though certainly not horrible backside. Turn it around even more. Sorry if I bumped into the microphone. But yeah, this is the model. But first, I think we should go over the set's accessories, the minifigures, because they're accessories. Whatever. First off, we're going to go with the, I guess, most boring pick, though not by any, I guess, fault of his own, but just because he has been seen in a set before. That's right, we gotta take a look at the adult hero of time, Link. This is the adult Link Ocarina of Time minifigure. This was previously seen in the Great Deku Tree set. Yeah, that one's very expensive, and from what I can tell, this minifigure is unchanged from that. The same head mold, the same torso printing on the front and the back, which does look very nice. The same dual molded arms in the green and the white, which also looks very good if it'll focus. But yeah, the green and the white, which is a nice clean split, which does look very good and very appropriate for this Link. The same printed on the side and the back, as well as dual molded legs, which also look very good. Overall, this is a very premium minifigure, and I'm glad that they didn't really change it all that much. Removing the hair, which is a little bit loose for my tastes, by the way. This hairpiece is a little bit loose tolerance-wise, so just keep that in mind. You can see that he has the shouting face, which I put on him immediately just because of the action scene, but also he has a more serious Link face. I don't remember if this is reuse or if this is new. I'm pretty sure it's unique to Link, but it might be reuse, and it's definitely reusable as a fairly general humanoid face, but yeah, it works. And in terms of his own accessories, he comes with a pair. First off, obviously these are both new molds. They came with the Deku Tree as well. First off, he has the Hylian shield, which is in a perfect shaping. It's the perfect Hylian shield shape, and obviously all the detail on the front is printed, so it can be reused as a part in other places. I'm pretty sure I've seen it used once or twice already, but the printing is also exquisite. The golden Triforce, the red of the rest of the Hylian crest, the blue in the background, the little black lining to really give it some nice oomph. But somewhat even better than that is the Master Sword. It makes the interesting choice to be all to put the blade in a clear glowy blue. I really understand the impulse. The fact that the Master Sword glows is kind of one of its things, especially when fighting someone like Ganon over here. But yeah, Fi here looks really good. The shaping on the little crest, wings, whatever, with the little crystal in the middle, the wraps down at the bottom, the little stud at the base. Hell, even the sword has, you can barely notice it, but it does have the Triforce in the blade. The worst thing about this is that there's also some copyright information on the mold, hidden right there. You can't really see it, but since it is transparent, you can see it on both sides, which is a little bit annoying. But it is hidden fairly well due to just the color of the plastic as well, so either way, this is a very exquisite mold, and I know he doesn't have the Master Sword for the full fight in the game, but he does have it sometimes, and it makes sense, in my humble opinion. Very good minifigure. Its biggest problem is that we have somewhat seen it before. That does mean that it's more accessible, so that's nice. Let's plonk him back on the stand, though. Next up, though, is our first of two entirely brand new minifigures. Though we have gotten this character somewhat before, not this specific rendition of the character, but we have gotten a Zelda before. But we have not gotten this Zelda. This is the Ocarina of Time Princess Zelda. I'm going to remove that so that you can get a more proper look at her colors. Yes, this is the Ocarina of Time Princess Zelda in this sort of pink and lilac dress with all of the little bits of gold accoutrement. But yeah, it looks very nice. From what I can tell, it's very accurate to the game. I'm going to remove the hair so that you can get a good look at the back printing. And also, you get a look at her more serious, sort of serene, whatever, face, which does look good. It's very minifigurified, but it does read as Zelda from the game. It honestly looks a little bit better than some of the promotional art. What did I say? I don't know. But yeah, the back is fairly simple. The front has that nice printing, but doesn't go too overboard, thankfully, with detail. A lot of custom minifigures, we'll get to this also with Ganondorf, tend to go a little bit too hard on the detail. Like, I imagine they'd put a lot of detail into the arms, but just making it dual molded works perfectly fine. Obviously, we've got the rest of the dress going down here with this little bit at the front, and obviously it's very impressively detailed and is very accurate, but doesn't feel too detailed. And a lot of fan minifigures from whatever like website they make or when they just customize it all their own, they tend to add too much detail for my eye. It becomes overwhelming for such a small package. The way the designers are able to find what I believe is the right balance of detail to, I guess, cartoony abstraction just does work very well, and it makes this a very, very premium minifigure despite her lack of leg movement. Also, we should get to that. Minifigures, I've gone over their articulation before, and most of these are fairly standard, where they have the full rotation with the hair, though for Zelda, and we'll get to it with the next guy, her arms are limited somewhat by the shoulder pads. They can't really go all the way up or all the way back, though they do still have the full swivel, and the neck is also limited in how far it can go naturally because of the hair. So as you can see, the hair doesn't go all the way, so the head's gonna kind of look like that. You can get a little bit of the swivel, because there's a full swivel there, but it's not as much. Link does seemingly have about the full range. The hat will get in the way somewhat, but not a ton. And she also comes with an accessory, as mentioned before. It's this little construction to show her light powers. It's fine. I like it a lot. People have called it like a laser blaster, but you're meant to see it as just a clear construction, dumbass. Have whimsy in your heart. You just clip that into her hand, and I honestly think it is fairly effective in showing off her powers. But yeah, and then you can just place her right there and have her live there forever. Yeah, finally, we have to activate a gimmick to reveal the last of the minifigures, because he's hidden most of the time. Do that real quick. Obviously, we won't go all the way because Ganon is in the way, but we have what many believe it to be the star of the show, Ganondorf. And yeah, it's kind of hard to deny. This is a expertly done minifigure. Obviously, we have a new hair mold. I believe Zelda's is new. It might be reuse from the Breath of the Wild one. I'd have to check, but I'm pretty sure it's a new hair sculpt. But this is definitely a new hair sculpt with the green printing and the green, or I think it's green molding. Yeah, green molding with the printing right on the forehead for his little like crown, crest, tiara, or whatever, as well as the ears poking out, which looks nice, and then the red hair, which flows nicely back. It is nice and big. And then his nice grinning face, which goes down to something we'll get to. He's got some nice shoulder armor. This is reuse from the minifigure of Wrecker from the Bad Batch from Star Wars. But it works very well. It works very well for his shoulder armor, and it is able to give that nice pauldroned look with this little bit in the center. And it does give him some nice bulk. Moving then to the rest of the torso, there is printing under there, though I don't need to show it. It's pretty similar. That's pretty simple. I'm not going to show it. The undersuit is nice and is a very nice brown with some nice, again, very simple but very effective detailing, which works very well. Dual molded arms. Again, all three of these minifigures have dual molded arms. It's very impressive with the brown and the tan going into his olive green hands. Then he has his legs, again, dual molded and printed on the sides with a ton of detailing. It's very nice, very good. And of course, the standout is this custom printed cape with all of the detail you would want. If you can tell, some reviews do have this showing. There is a bit of copyright for LEGO and Nintendo right there. However, I recommend you put it on the inside, because if you do that, it's going to be hidden by the shoulder pads and the backpack all the time, so it's a non-issue. But yeah, looking at it from this side, the beautiful red going into the nice yellow printing. And it's on both sides, so that you can see it from the front as well. It's such a luxurious cape. It's a single hold one, if you're wondering, and it's just such a good cape piece. It's one of the best I've ever seen. It really does make him premium. Let's take a look at his alternate head. You can see it has yellow eyes, still the big eyebrows, and angry expression. Perfect for showing him transforming again, which is one of the main gimmicks of the set. You may think, don't you have one more figure to look at? I mean, Navi we'll get to because it's a simple plate, but don't you have one more figure to get to? But we'll get there. But yeah, that's basically the accessories for the set, the minifigures. But yeah, we'll see it again at the end of the video, this whole display. As such, I think I should split it into its two parts. We have the base, and we have this, because this is removable for play purposes. We're not going to look at Ganon just yet. I'm going to leave that for the end, because I have thoughts. But yeah, first off, I do want to talk about the build experience. I should have done this right off the bat, probably. But I do want to talk about the build experience, because it is important, because you're buying a building toy. I have kind of frustratingly mixed feelings about the build experience for this thing overall, because, not in the way of, like, it's mediocre, but because there's really good bits and really annoying and frustrating bits. First off, I don't think the build was ever that tedious. There's some repetition, obviously, that you're gonna find yourself running into. Obviously, these flames at the back are going to be a little bit repetitive, and of course, whenever you're building a buildable figure of any sort, even if it is just a statue, you're gonna have to get some repetition in the arms and the legs, just because they're the same thing. So there's going to be some repetition, but a lot of the repetition was fairly well handled in my opinion. And outside of that, this build is honestly very smart. Obviously, there's like about a bag's worth of parts for the base, and that's where some of your larger parts are coming in. That's your first bag, where you just get the base layer laid down, and it doesn't take up too much of the parts budget, though obviously it takes up some. That could have made it a little cheaper, but that's besides the point. And then you get into bag 2, which is mostly this tower. And man, oh man, what a good tower it is. That's the best part of the build, if I'm gonna be honest. Just so many weird and interesting build techniques. To get it on this angle, you've got to sort of align it with a turntable and a pair of studs. And then there's the angle upward, which is achieved by sandwiching 2 plates on top of each other, essentially. These 2, like, plates with, like, Technic pins that you connect via a bar, which feels like an illegal connection, but it apparently isn't. But yeah, you sandwich them together, you fold them in on themselves, and then put a bar through them, which is just such a satisfying little build step. Just the sort of Brutaka level genius that I look for when I'm looking for a good build experience. And then you build most of the tower upside down, which is just, when you figure that out, you're just like, blown away. One of the highlights of the build experience, one of the best build experiences I've ever had, really. And the rest of it, while it certainly doesn't get to that level of a high, does feel very satisfying, does feel very good. I really like the shaping on Ganon. I really like the way that you get the rubble working. It will take a little bit of attention just to make sure you've got things lined up correctly, and especially if your instruction manual came like mine. For some reason, my instruction manual around the middle got some print errors, which darkened the colors on certain bits and blurred some of the outlines a little bit, which, especially given there's a lot of dark colors on here, and a lot of similar dark colors, made it a little bit hard for me to parse what parts I was working with at a glance. The biggest problem with the build experience is that for its price point, it's a little short. Let me explain. This build took about 2 hours and 20 minutes to build. I did it all in one sitting, and I'm an experienced builder, so I imagine yours might take longer, but I'm also not just saying that 2 hours in a vacuum. I'm saying the 2 hours in comparison to another set that I do have pretty solid metrics on. That being the Lego Going Merry. If you remember, I took a look at that set last year, in the middle of at the back half of last year, so about 6 months ago on the channel, and that set is only $10 more than this at retail. You can buy them at the same time, and that set gives you an hour more of build, which doesn't sound right to me. Like, I imagine in part it's because this is a lot of small pieces, while that one's a little bit bigger of pieces, but also that one just has more parts. Again, that's where the folly with this being only 1,000 parts comes in. You do not get as long of a build experience, which is part of what you're paying for, really. If you're looking for value, keep that in mind. But the display does look nice. It's a little small, obviously, for the price. We've already gone into that. It does make a fairly decent footprint. The bottom is in some nice oranges and nougats, and it looks very nice and bright and vibrant while still feeling accurate to the game. Obviously, this whole thing is brighter than the scene in the game, which has some very dark lighting. But yeah, it does look nice, and then the dark tower does really contrast with these colors very nicely. And the rubble is very well placed. It feels very nice and very much like rubble. And hell, even these footprints when Ganon isn't there do still look fairly nice, just in case that's the way you want to display it for some reason. The flames also have a very nice staggered effect, which I appreciate, especially during the build process. I like the spikes on these little bits of castle, and the shaping, it does look very good. As far as gimmicks go, first off, if you open up this little panel, you get in there a set of 3 hearts. I believe there's also a spare 4th heart as part of the spare parts. They just kind of rock around in there, so I guess just keep that in mind. You can't really keep them super aligned, but yeah, then you just cover it right up. It does mean that this doesn't get as nice of an angle as this part, but I'll live. Secondly, gimmicks-wise, we mentioned this before, the main play feature. Under this rubble, we have this little slanted bit, and obviously you can tell there's a little bit of a gap, and depending on your angle, you might be able to see a little bit of red hair poking out of it. If you press in the back, there's a little button, as you might have noticed before. It's a fairly big button with a little bit of yellow at the top to indicate it. You press it forward, and if you haven't pressed incorrectly, Ganon shoots out of the rubble. This is in emulation of the end of Ocarina of Time. Let's see it a little bit more in detail. Oh, my hand was in the way. He can just shoot out right there, and it looks very nice. It's nice that it's able to emulate part of the game, as much as the boss fight isn't super well emulated mechanically, outside of just being in display. He's able to just launch out like that, and it's a nice touch that didn't need to be included, but really justifies the inclusion of Ganondorf. Outside of just being a minifigure that they included, it makes him feel like part of the set, which I think is good. It makes him feel like a worthwhile accessory. But yeah, you can just hide him away, and the worst part about it is it does kind of leave Ganondorf to be a little bit hidden. At the front, as you can tell, as part of the display, we also have the Triforce, because one of the main gimmicks, seemingly, of the set is like, oh yeah, it's Triforce themed. It's made out of 3 golden triangles and could kind of be taken as a Blacktron thing. Anyways, moving on to the tower. Its shaping is very nice. We're not getting there. As I mentioned, I absolutely love this fucking tower. The way it moves out with these little windows, which are much more secure than the ones I got last year on the Going Merry and on Arlong Park. But yeah, those are nice and secure. Yeah, as you can see, there's some really nice tiling shaping, which makes it look nice and decrepit. I'm going to get Zelda out of the way. Nice and somewhat decrepit looking, while also having that nice dark feel and a nice variance of texture. It's very nice. And then you get to the tower at the top, and it just looks great. And obviously, up here we get to our final character of this, or our second to last character, really. We get Navi. Again, same fairy print as the last time. At least it does work angle-wise. The little dots below, and it's nice to have Navi just kind of sitting there and just hanging out, jumping with Link. It's good to have Navi. I like that she's included. It feels good. And the little pearlescent stud that makes up her front looks very nice. But yeah, the rest of the tower, very nice. You just kind of plunk that on top on a special little construction. It's a little loose feeling, but it's not going to come off. It's just going to be a little wobbly, so keep that in mind while you're moving it. But yeah, moving on to the back, I've already taken the part out. But as you can see, it's a little bit more, or as you can't see, as you can now see, shit's a little bit more bare bones. You can see a little bit of like almost like the organ or whatever. But in here, there's a little red dot because he comes with an alternate weapon, or the set comes with an alternate weapon. The brick-built Megaton hammer, I believe it is. Correct me in the comments, but it is very nice. I like the shaping. The little diamond part right there, put in an angle, the little arrow at the top, the little front. This is such a well-constructed minifigure accessory. And it fits. It allows you to have a somewhat more accurate Ganon fight where you might not have your Master Sword, so you have to give your Link the Megaton hammer. And it just hides right there. It's a fairly loose connection, unfortunately, so be careful with it if you're moving this set. Probably what I'm noticing is like somewhat the ugliest bit is there's a lot of yellow back here. It's meant to sort of emulate this sort of flame pattern, I think, and give it a sense of heat, but on these parts, it looks a little bit out of place. You're not really going to be displaying this set from the back, though, so I'm willing to live with it, but if you have a full 360 place where you're displaying this, keep that in mind. Maybe put it against a wall, more ideally. And obviously, this gives you a better look at these flames. They look nice. They could have been more all-circusing, all-encompassing, but that might have been too many parts, so... But yeah, that's the main display. Obviously, there's a nice amount of studded surface if you want to display it alternatively in comparison to how it's intended to. But obviously, we have these two main parts that are intended for the Dark Beast himself, Ganon, transformed from Ganondorf. And yeah, he looks really good, if anything. Let's do a full rotation. And this somewhat justifies it being on the channel, because this is an action figure somewhat. Whoa! Whoa, this is actually an action figure video. This might make it onto the top 15 list. It's probably not making it on the top 15 list. Yeah, Ganon's a figure. Yeah, let's give him a full rotation so you can get a good look at him. Very well sculpted, if anything, out of these LEGO parts and with the limited prints that it has. And also, something to note for all you weird little freaks out there, no stickers on this set. This set, thankfully for its premium price tag, only uses printed parts for those kinds of details. Some of them make sense, like obviously the face ones couldn't be done with stickers, but they could have made all these copious flat plates on Ganon stickers, but they didn't. So I think that's nice. Obviously, I'm not the most scuffed about stickers. LEGO stickers are far better than the shit Bandai puts out. Obviously, we have the full rotation here. Something nice to note, the tail, you can see it's multicolored. This does indicate it as being very much based off of Ocarina of Time specifically, rather than this figure's appearance in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, where the tail's only yellow, so that's nice to note. Here's a full rotation, giving you a full look. Also, I'm gonna do that real quick, because there's a cloth cape. More cloth goods, always appreciated. So first off, looking at the head, it's very well realized out of LEGO form. We obviously have like a set of 4 prints. We have the eye set, which has that little bit of the eyebrows and the little head crest, and the nice blink angry green eyes. The teeth are sort of parallel prints. I'm going to move the horns out of the way for the sake of this. Yeah, they're sort of parallel prints, which look a little goofy from the side, but from the front do really give off, or from a slight angle, do really give off Ganon, especially if you obscure them with the horns. Obviously the nose works well as a pig's nose. Mine's a little misaligned, but that's okay. From there, you obviously get these golden horns, which also look very nice. They're a little bit mechanical. I kind of wish they had a little bit more ribbing, but obviously these are the parts that they had, the sort of macaroni parts that they had access to. So I'm willing to live with it, and it does work well. It does give those gold Ganon horns, and then the hair sculpting is just magnificent. It really works. The little bits of orange, which allow some of the red to poke through. It's so well realized, honestly. It works really well and creates a nice emotive bit of hair sculpting. But yeah, moving on to the torso. Let's do that. There's also some very nice sculpting to get like his like larger body. The little pectorals right there, the little bit of the belly moving out into the belt, which also has some nice layering to give it a nice clothy look. It is very well done. And then you have the little bits of the cape, which are made out of plastic parts, which go over the shoulder with this little yellow bit in the center, moving back into, as previously mentioned, the wonderfully tattered cape. I love this. I kind of wish it was a little bigger to be able to be used by larger Bionicle figures, but this might be good for like giving a cape to a Mata-sized character, or like a late-stage Matoran-sized character. It seems like a very useful part, and I just love tattered capes in general. It's very good, and it's nice and flexible, and it's just good. It's just a good part. And obviously, the back doesn't skip out on much detail. There's a little bit of black underwear you wouldn't be able to see without the cape anyways. As you can tell, some nice green and a little bit of brown for the belt. Somewhat simple, but his back is covered. And looking at his side, he also has some nice green there, though a little bit of the joint can be seen, which we'll get to. We'll move on to the arms next. Very well sculpted. I'll note some of the problems about this later, but we have these shoulder pads, which have some nice shaping to them. I really like how they look. Some nice rounded shaping with a little bit of tan down here to give some nice tattered cloth. Moving into the green arms, I really like this as like a little bit of like a furry tuft. It's a nice part usage. But yeah, there's a little bit of gray poking through, which is annoying in parts here and there. But yeah, then we get to our first of the printed tiles, right here, down to where the hands are. It does help to give some delineation between the upper arm and the hand, despite it being one solid piece. And obviously, something we should note also is his main accessory is these wonderful swords. Some new parts up here which can again be used for Bionicle characters, again mainly smaller ones seemingly, but yeah. To this brick-built hilt which looks very nice, down to the holding part which I think is also, whatever. But yeah, it looks very nice, very well sculpted, gives off the swords perfectly. Obviously he has these Rancor-esque fingers, which is nice. Moving down to the legs and the waist cape, obviously we have these little bits at the side, which kind of stick out like that. Also with more of that printed tile, which there's a nice good look at that. And then at the front, we have the 3 printed tiles, which go down as sort of the waist cape very well. These are attached to the legs, surprisingly, but it does work. It does mean that his legs are somewhat bowed out all the time, but yeah. The center part also looks very good. It looks a little bit less good when you articulate, but it's okay. I live with that. But yeah, it's very nice, and I appreciate the printing. And the digitigrade legs, especially at the top, are very nice. I like the way that they give the beefing with these little round tiles, and then like that, and then the little bit of like butt sculpting that we get. And also, it does, all of this waist caping does hide the jointage colors very well. The colors in the legs look way better than the colors in the arms, which we'll get to. And the digitigradeness is done with some nice green modern Bionicle hands, the ones without the hole in the center. I don't believe these parts have been in this color before. It should be good for potential Metro upgrades, maybe. Metao and shit. You know, that sort of era. Then we move down to here where we get a Glatorian neck. I wish this was in green, but black is fine, and it does pair with the tire, which is also in black, which just kind of sits there. I don't know if this is illegal either. You just kind of force it over the ball joint, over the Glatorian neck. And then we have the nice hooves at the feet, which again look very good. Nice furry bit of that with the nice tan hoof. It does come off very well. Even these gaps feel very hoofy. Moving on to the back, this is where the jointage becomes most apparent. Obviously, these mixel joints are only in gray, which is a little bit annoying, so they become a little bit spotty, and then this back joint is only in black, seemingly, so again, spotty, but the black works better as a neutral color. And I get some decent shaping. I like the spikiness of the tail. It does give off the look that it should, as in the game. And then the green here, this is probably the most underbaked part of the set. This just feels a little bit oversimplified. But anyways, that's Ganon's sculpt. He looks good. He looks good. And obviously, as you can tell, he can stand on his own. He doesn't need the stand. He's a little bit unstable. He's very top-heavy. And on account of that, his legs do have a little bit of struggle getting into all poses, but they'll hold, at least for now. And obviously, if you want, you can use the tail and have it lay on the ground, have it be a third leg to really balance out his weight. Yeah, he's a very nice looking figure, but how does he pose? Unfortunately, a little bit subpar, though not as subpar as a lot of other LEGO figures. Let's get into it. So the head has actually a decent amount of articulation. Obviously, the horns can move out of the way if you need them to, and the hair, each piece is double jointed. There's a hinge there and a hinge there, which allows it to get out of the way as you would desire. It's kind of perfect. It really allows it to get out of the way. It's not really going to help as much because of the shaping of the head, but it does allow it to not be in the way more, especially as you turn the head. It allows it to just get out of the way. Speaking of, the head is on a mixel joint. You can tell down there. So that means it's a ball joint, which means you can go up about that far. It limits itself. Down, if we move the horns, about that far is good for him to look down more than he looks up, to be fair. There's some tilt side to side, not a ton. And then you have a swivel, which is limited by the shaping of the head. I'm sure you can work around it. There we are. You kind of gotta move at an angle, but you can get a full swivel. So moving on to the most disappointing part of this, the arms. Okay, now you can see the legs are being a little bit of an issue because they are ball joints, so they are going to split on you sometimes, so just be careful in posing and you'll be fine. You're an adult. The shoulders, they are on these ratchet joints, but because of the shoulder pads, they cannot move for shit. So they go down that far and up that far. Let's try to get a full swivel. You really cannot. You can go forward that far and back that far. Okay, you can get a full swivel, at least, but it is fussy and frustrating because of the shaping of the joint, and obviously it's a ratchet, so it's that. This isn't going to be an Optimus Prime issue where the ratchet loses its strength over time because of the weight. Yeah, this is annoying. It's very hard to get him into good poses. And then, if that wasn't bad already, the forearm is on a swivel. It can swivel like so, which is good. It's better than nothing, but it doesn't have an elbow bend. We'll get to why this is a problem later. Moving on. No waist swivel, but that's more fine in my opinion. I can live with that. These move. Oh yeah, also, hands, forgot to note. This has a hinge. Each of these front fingers is also on a hinge, able to go that far out, that far in. The blade is also on a slight swivel. These are able to hinge outward. The legs go inward that much and are on ball joints to allow them to kick forward, about that far, back, about that far, and out. About that far. Forward range is the most disappointing, but it's enough. Kind of a knee at the digitigrade leg. It functions as a knee. Able to kick forward, that far, and back all the way. Pretty nice. But yeah. And you also get an ankle tilt. That's why this is able to be an ankle, or a knee, because the ankle has a tilt. So yeah, I know I'm annoying. However, this really could be posed better. Especially the arms. The legs, they're fine. The limits and range in the leg are understandable. I get it. There could be a little bit more forward range, but that's okay. It does help it stay a little bit stable. If it sits on those, it's whatever. And the lower legs, perfectly good. Better leg range than I've seen in a lot of other figures. From LEGO, at least. But the arms, man, they are so limited. They're essentially stuck to this area, and the swivel does help to make them look a lot more dynamic. The joints that they chose are fairly smart, but god damn it, I wish he could do more. Because the thing is, this is a guy who swings his swords wildly, all over the place. And he just cannot. He can't recreate the poses from the game. He cannot recreate how the figure moves in the game. And it makes him really unsatisfying to have all these joints. You might as well just keep him displayed on the display as he is. And while it's certainly more posable than a lot of other LEGO figures at this size, I feel like they could have put some arm joints in this. I feel like they could have put some actual elbows and then put the wrists on a swivel to get this same effect. without losing quite as much as they think they would. I don't know, I'd have to mod it, and I know they're trying under LEGO's specific restrictions, and I blame LEGO for this more than the really cool guy who designed this. I can't help but be a little disappointed, especially given the price tag. When for less than this price, I bought the Figma Ganon, which we'll be seeing soon on the channel, hopefully. I can't help but feel a little bit disappointed. But yeah, as mentioned before, he connects to the base. Let me get him into a base-worthy pose. And I can move the tail out when he's on the stand. He feels a lot more stable on the base. He feels very much designed for the base, to be frank. Here's the whole thing together, and I can't help but enjoy how it looks put all together like this. It does look fairly stunning. All like this display, sort of. I'm moving the sword a little bit down just so it's a little bit more visible so that Link's a little bit more visible. But yeah, it's really a stunning display. It looks very good, and this is why you're getting it. A lot of the decisions feel very designed around this specific display. The printed parts, stickers add a little bit more time to a build and add a little bit more time to just your build experience. But people whine about how it displays, and stickers, to be fair, they're good because they allow a part to just be in a color for reuse. But people who display their sets complain that they're a little bit annoying to align properly and much prefer a print. So this set gets prints. People really need nice minifigures, so this set spends a lot of its budget on nice minifigures. People love display over most anything, so it really only gets one paltry function and a mediocrely posing figure, and that's all the functionality you get. This is a display-focused piece, and it's really good at that. I do not regret purchasing this. Really. But for the price that you pay for it, I think you should wait on this, because this really doesn't feel like it goes that far above and beyond what a display piece can be. I think of like the Indiana Jones Temple of the Golden Idol. That set goes above and beyond its price point. That set feels very satisfying no matter what angle you look at it from. That set is amazing as a display piece, and that, as display piece Legos go, is my upper bar. This is a good display piece, but that's really all it is. So if you're willing to spend a little bit too much money on something that sits on a desk because you love Ocarina of Time, maybe go in on it, but I'd say wait for a potential price drop. It probably won't happen, but see if you can find this on sale, because I don't think it's worth $130. See if you can get it for $110 at most. I'm sorry, this is a brilliant set. It has some really cool techniques, but I can't help but feel like it doesn't go far enough for it to feel as expensive as it is. I hate to be so negative on a set that I love, but that's just the truth. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like the video, to comment your thoughts down below, to check out the channel for older videos, both on Zelda and on LEGO sets, but not on Zelda LEGO sets, sorry about that, and subscribe so that you know when future videos are happening. Literally, next week I'm going to be reviewing that Figma Ganondorf, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, I hope to see you around next time. Bye-bye!